And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
bit of good news. On September 24th, His Holiness Pope Francis will visit us here at the United States Capitol. That day, His Holiness will be the first Pope in our history to address a joint session of Congress. We're humbled that the Holy Father has accepted our invitation and certainly look forward to receiving his message on behalf of the American people.
Mr. President, final question.
Yes, sir.
You said famously, when you looked into Vladimir Putin's eyes, you saw his soul.
Yeah.
When you look into Benedict XVI's eyes, what do you see?
God.
Good way to end the interview.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. My pleasure. Sir. Thank you. When you look into Benedict XVI's eyes, what do you see?
God.
On a happier note, a bit of good news. On September 24th, His Holiness Pope Francis will visit us here at the United States Capitol. That day, His Holiness will be the first Pope in our history to address a joint session of Congress. We're humbled that the Holy Father has accepted our invitation and certainly look forward to receiving his message on behalf of the American people.
We meet here at a moment of testing for Europe and the United States, and for the international order that we have worked for generations to build.
The end of these two wars affords us an opportunity. It allows us to refocus our intelligence and military assets and resources to other parts of the world where they are needed, where we face new challenges. This is the world you are graduating into. This is what I want to talk about today with you for a few minutes. I believe we, and particularly you, your class, has an incredible window of opportunity to lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century in a way consistent with American interest and the common interest. Think of the possibilities. For the first time in history, the Western Hemisphere is in a position where it has the possibility of being middle class, democratic and secure, from Canada to Chile. The Pacific Basin, peaceful and prosperous. A new relationship with China, where we cooperate and compete, but where conflict is not inevitable. A revitalized global trading order defined by greater integration and economic growth, where barriers are lowered at the borders and behind our borders, generating millions of American jobs, where intellectual property is protected and the playing field is level, and where major powers come together to deal with the challenges of our time that require us all to act in concert. And there are many challenges, including violent extremism is becoming more diffuse, countries emerging from chaos in the midst of war, challenges in the international order on the high seas and in the skies, emerging threats in cyberspace. For the first time in world history, the use of corruption and oligarchs as a sinister tool in the conduct of foreign policy.
That day, His Holiness will be the first Pope in our history to address a joint session of Congress.
For the first time in world history, the use of corruption and oligarchs as a sinister tool in the conduct of foreign policy.
We're humbled that the Holy Father has accepted our invitation and certainly look forward to receiving his message on behalf of the American people.
Countries emerging from chaos in the midst of war, challenges to the international order on the high seas and in the skies.
The fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
There were major powers who come together to deal with the challenges of our time that require us all to act in concert. And there are many challenges, including violent extremism,
We did not claim or annex Iraq's territory. We did not grab its resources for our own gain. Instead, we ended our war and left Iraq to its people in a fully sovereign Iraqi state that can make decisions about its own future.
For the first time in world history, the use of corruption and oligarchs as a sinister tool in the conduct of foreign policy.
But order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
A lot of our history comes from Rome. We have to recognize that. It was old Gibbon who said that when the wars are fought, the victors tell the story. I'm not giving his words exactly, but that's the gist of what he says. He says, in other words, it is the victors who tell the story. So if you're a defeated Christian small group, then your story is told from the standpoint of those who conquered you. And Pelikan, the modern American scholar, says, and there is no other way, many times, to tell the story.
In the book of Revelation, they saw the picture of Rome's apostasy, presented as an unfaithful woman, sitting atop a seven-headed beast. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus.
The keys to theosophy. She lists three main goals of theosophy. Firstly, the universal brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, color, or creed. Secondly, to promote the study of the world's religions. And thirdly, to investigate the hidden mysteries of nature. Theosophy is the first major New Age group, and they are largely responsible for many of the New Age beliefs, including the belief that Jesus represented the sun god. The global elite are New Age occultists who adhere to New Age dogma and are responsible for this trend of discrediting Christianity, Jesus Christ, and Christian New World Order researchers. This trend is a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that is coming into fruition at the end of this age. The occult community is full of secret societies that practice secret oaths, secret meetings, and secret occult practices. This implies that they have something to hide. The Bible says that what is done in secret will be brought into the light. God does not keep secrets, but has revealed truth to us in the Bible. At the heart of all occult teachings is pride, that their secrets are only for the select few. It caters for an elitist mindset. At the heart of all they teach and do is the attempt to discredit the true God, the deity of Jesus Christ, the Bible, and Christians in general. Now in Ephesians 6 verse 12, the Bible reveals that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So we can see that this is part of a spiritual battle. It's not people that we're fighting against. These ideas and ideologies and so-called spiritual principles come out of the demonic realm. These are spirit beings that are peering to these occultists and seeding their lies into their writings, into their minds, into their spirits. And of course, these doctrines of demons are then taught as so-called truths or spiritual revelation. Quote, "It will be fought largely with mental weapons and in the world of thought. It will involve also the emotional realm from the standpoint of idealistic fanaticism. This inherent fanaticism will fight against the appearance of the coming world religion and the spread of esotericism. It must not be forgotten that only those souls who are on the probationary path or the path of discipleship will form the nucleus of the coming world religion. There is no question, therefore, that the work to be done in familiarizing the general public with the nature of the mysteries is of paramount importance at this time. When the Great One comes with his disciples and initiates, we shall have the restoration of the mysteries and their exoteric presentation as a consequence of the first initiation." Now from these doctrines we can see that the stated objective of these occultists is to indoctrinate the public with their esoteric religious ideas and to externalize their occult teachings in humanity with the ultimate realization of a new world order that is devoid of what they call the negative influences of traditional Christianity. By this, they mean that Christians who claim that salvation can be found through Jesus Christ alone and only through Christianity, and that the Bible is the source of absolute truth, these people, they say, are divisive, narrow-minded, bigoted, fundamentalist, idealistic fanatics who are hindering the spiritual evolution of humanity. In other words, Christians are holding back the planet and retarding human progress on the planet. Here is a quote by Zygmunt Brzezinski. He says, "The tectonic era involves the gradual appearance of a more controlled society. Such a society would be dominated by an elite unrestrained by traditional values. Soon it will be citizen and maintain up-to-date, complete files containing even the most personal information about the citizen. Horus is one of the oldest and most significant deities in ancient Egyptian religion. Horus served many functions in the Egyptian pantheon, most notably being the god of the sun, war and protection. He's known as the god of vengeance, the god of the sky, protection and war. Now what many people don't realize is that America was founded by the Freemasons of Europe as a Masonic experiment. That's why, for example, New York is named after the York Rites of Freemasonry in England, New York. And the Statue of Liberty, which was donated by the Freemasons of France to America, is in fact a statue that signifies a spiritual evolution where man becomes God through spiritual enlightenment. This is why you have like these rays of the sun around the head of this goddess Columbia, which is standing with this flame or the light. This all signifies that Lucifer, the light bearer, brings enlightenment to humanity.
The advance of industry and technology outpaced our ability to resolve our differences peacefully. Some are inherently superior to others, and we face difficult decisions about how to exercise our power. And in a world of challenges that are increasingly global, all of us have an interest in nations stepping forward to play their part. No amount of propaganda can make right something that the world knows is wrong. Leaders and dignitaries of the European Union, representatives of our NATO alliance, distinguished guests. We meet here at a moment of testing for Europe and the United States as an example of Western hypocrisy, and for the international order that we have worked for generations to build. We meet in the hub of a union that brings together age-old adversaries in peace and cooperation. Understand as well, this is not another Cold War that we're entering into. That's why throughout this crisis, we will combine our substantial pressure on Russia with an open door for diplomacy. Moreover, Russia has pointed to America's decision to go into Iraq as an example of Western hypocrisy. We did not claim or annex Iraq's territory. We did not grab its resources for our own gain. Instead, we ended our war and left Iraq to its people in a fully sovereign Iraqi state that can make decisions about its own future. And we face difficult decisions about how to exercise our power. No amount of propaganda can make right something that the world knows is wrong.
If you're a student of prophecy, what I'm about to share is hopefully going to move you into doing just a little bit more work in the coming days. Check this out. High Court rules Tel Aviv stores can open Sabbath. I'm just going to read this first section here. It says supermarkets, entertainment centers, and pharmacies will be allowed to operate in Tel Aviv from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. In other words, as expected, the Jews have bowed to the Roman ban of sin, just as students of prophecy declared they would for many years, because Christian prophecy will be fulfilled, no matter how many people think otherwise. And what I mean by that is, decades ago, in the mid-1990s, in fact, when I started to declare the present truth on the streets regarding the mark of the beast, people laughed out loud at me and suggested I sit for a fitting of a tinfoil bonnet because I stated everyone, and this includes the Jews, will eventually be pressured by the popes of Rome to keep Sunday holy. They claimed it would be possible for other Christians to embrace Sunday laws because they already keep Sunday holy. But they said that would never happen with the Jews. They also laughed when I said that when the Jews finally do agree with Rome on Sunday Sabbath, Rome will know they have the upper hand, and then they're going to go for the jugular of their theology and go after the original Sabbath day that they keep. And then 13 years later, in June of 2007, I shared in my newsletter that the Jewish people were in fact considering, by a majority vote no less at 56%, to support a bill that would make Sunday a day of rest in Israel. And even though we now saw the Jews actually considering such a law, the laughing continued. The basic reality in this is, as students of prophecy, we knew all along the Jews would do this because they denied Jesus as Messiah 2,000 years ago. Even though they claim otherwise, as do the Muslims, their God is not the God of the Bible. For if he was, they would never have even considered discussing a Sunday Sabbath in Jerusalem. But they don't believe the God of the Bible at all. They openly denied his son as their prophesied Messiah, and so they have no power behind their faith. Any threat to their well-being as a nation would be too much for them to bear. This is why Rome infiltrated and introduced a Sunday Sabbath to them. As I declared many years ago, when they finally go for that bill that uplifts the Roman Sabbath above the Sabbath of the Bible, they will become pawns in the hands of Rome. Well, they finally did pass that bill 6 years later on February 23, 2013. And as expected, it was then Rome knew they got them right where they wanted them. As of that date, the Jews now declare Sunday to be a work-free day in Jerusalem, just as Rome has been demanding everyone on the planet do for decades. But in order for the Pope to make it truly universal, he had to get the oldest known Sabbath-keeping people on earth to follow his lead. Now, since the Jews have no real faith in the God of the Bible to protect them from Rome, they easily bowed in worship of the Pope, just as prophecy predicted they would. And so, as we also expected, Rome decided to take it a step further, wherein they could use craft to rewrite their laws so as to make working on the real Sabbath from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown to appear as completely acceptable, as this article now confirms just happened. This was done to further lock down their rebellion against the God of the Bible. And why go for the throat on this one? Well, Satan hates God's law that much. He knows all about the power behind the real remnant Christians of today, who not only declare Jesus Christ as Lord, but also declare his law is still valid throughout eternity. In fact, as per the two fruits of a true Christian, as outlined in Revelation 14:12, that is the main reason those real Christians never received the mark of the beast, and that's why Satan's so angry. And what is the mark, you might ask? I'm going to let the Vatican itself, that's been pushing it for centuries, answer that one. Thank you for watching. God bless.